Hey guys! I'm Heintje, and I know you've been waiting for this one. Yes, it's finally time to get the brand new big bike dirty. I decided to go to a familiar place for the maiden voyage of the Airdrop Slacker, Bike Park Winterberg. No further ado, let's roll the intro and get started. The very first run, the bottom part of the flow country line. I have to say, it took some time to getting used to. Not so much the bike, more the bike park riding. This is the same every season. Hell, every bike park trip. It always takes some time to getting used to the speeds you can ride in a bike park. However, the bike felt very solid straight away, the grip was amazing. While I show the rest of this little trail, let me explain why I went for Winterberg. After all, there are better parks in the same area. I know you don't need a downhill bike for this park, hell, you can even have a fun day on a hardtail here. I wanted to go to a familiar place where I know I can do all the features and fully focus on how the bike handles them. However, I will visit a lot more parks this year, and sure, I'll make videos of those trips as well, so please hit that subscribe button if you're interested in those videos. Now let's hit the freeride line. The top part is all new and runs very smooth. They also added a few jumps, something this line really lacked in the past. The jumps are nice, but you really have to commit to the corner in order to stand the chance of clearing them. The rest of the line is still the same. First some ridiculous fast turns. Here I noticed I should ride with a bit more air in my tires. 1.5 bar is definitely not enough. On the other end, the bike handles the braking bumps like a champ. Of course, it's always better to avoid them, but it's not that big of a deal when your line goes straight through the bumps. The rest of the line is just awkward and needs an update in my opinion, so instead of upping my tire pressure, I just didn't ride this line that much. Next line, loosely. Except for a few sections with braking bumps, the big bike is so much overkill here. This line was way more fun on the hardtail. Now I really had to work to clear the jumps, something that took me a couple of runs to get right. So about the jumping. This bike feels so stable in the air, it's up to par with the e-bike. You know I'm not much of a trickster, however, the bike gave me so much confidence on these jumps that I really wanted to do no-handers. Of course, I didn't get any further than just releasing my grips, but I think if I take some time to practice, I could be styling it up sometime soon. I'm sure you know where this line ends. That's right, at the Roadgap. And even though it's the easiest thing ever, it's still a bit scary, so to be safe I did check it out first. And yes, it's still the easiest thing ever. Now with the grip of the downhill, it's even easy to make the corner after. Now I would like to move on to the North Shore line, arguably the most fun line in Winterberg. But unfortunately it was closed. I don't know why, it wasn't raining and now all the trees are gone, the wind right the park, so it would be safe to ride. But hey, let's not get any trouble by riding it anyway and go for the black line instead. Let's see how the bike handles tag. The first thing I didn't notice, the weight. With 17 kilos it's still a heavy bike, however it's not really noticeable, unlike the 24 kilo e-bike. I can't really tell why that is, maybe it's the longer wheelbase or the slacker head angle. Anyway, the bike has great grip and handles fine. It can also be the brakes. For now I kept the stock SRAM Code RSCs on. They did what I expect from a set of brakes, great modulation and great stopping power, so for now they can stay on the bike. During the day this trail dried up a lot and I got better at picking lines. This is one thing the bike makes a huge difference in, line choice. On most other bikes I always pick the smoothest line, on this bike it doesn't matter. Now I can pick lines more depending on the entrance or exit. But more on that on the downhill line. Speaking of which, this must be the line the bike is made for, so let's see how it handles it. Here you have some fast rough bits. first I was pretty careful, picking the smooth lines like I was used to. During the day, as I was getting used to the bike park speeds, I was also getting faster and faster through the rock gardens. The faster you go, the harder it gets to pick a precise line, and what do you think? It doesn't even matter. The bike could handle anything I dare to steer it into. This was most obvious at the bottom section. This little rock garden before the wall ride, at the end of the day I was going through it pretty fast. And then you have this drop. The drop itself is no issue. I would do it easily on my hardtail. However, landing in the brake bumps would not be fun on the hardtail. One more example. At first I opted for the inside line, however this gave a terrible entrance into the next steps. So later on the day I went for the outside line. Sure, it's full of brake bumps, but even with the bumps this line felt better in the end. Time to conclude the video, and while I do so, let me show a full top to bottom run of the downhill line. When I first tried the bike on the parking lot, the reach felt short and the stack height felt high. While riding the bike, everything felt just right. Maybe I will try a handlebar with less rise or increase the reach at some point. For now I'll just keep it as it is, test it some more. The suspension feels a bit soft. This is one downside of a coil spring. In an air shock you can just increase the pressure. Here I would have to replace the coil. Maybe I'll try a stiffer spring in the future. For now, let's first try to lose some weight. The fork felt good, except the really heavy hits at the bottom of the downhill line. Sure, these landings need some reshaping. Those I really felt in my wrist. I think I can solve it by making the fork a bit more progressive, so for the next ride I'll add one more token. Another thing you don't really notice until you really think about it, the stiffness of a dual crown fork, especially under heavy braking. This is just one more detail that makes the ride smoother. It probably does even more than the 20mm of extra suspension compared to my e-bike. One more thing I have to fix is the rattling of the brake hose in the frame. Not a big deal, just annoying. Now the riding. I feel like I was going faster than ever, yet I also feel like I didn't come close to the limits of the bike. This bike definitely gives me a ton of confidence to hit features harder, so I'm really excited to ride it in gnarlier places than Family Park Winterberg. One side note, it's kinda hard to compare bikes without riding them back to back. In my mind I always amplify the pros of the current bike and the cons of any other bike. And like I showed last year, Winterberg is perfectly doable on a hardtail. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment and I'll do my best to answer it. I hope to see you back for my next video. In the meantime, I'm sure you know by now, have fun riding. Houdoe.